drop the ego. It is not valuable. It's just feedback and advice for anybody. Drop the ego. It is not valuable. Hear the ideas. It's a group effort, guys. You win together and you fail together. There's not one person that stands out. Yeah, you can start a solo project. You can hire your musicians in. If that's your thing, cool, right? I mean, everybody has their design and it is what it is, you know, be you. But for the band concepts that we've been in, some of the biggest challenges that you encounter in this orientation is that ego. When someone's unwilling to try a concept, hear another idea, or even explore something that's maybe a little unique to what your band does. You have to remember, when you're starting out a band, and people fall into this all the time, you get locked into your sound, your product, and sometimes you limit your ability to be successful because you're already projecting this level of success where you're limiting your music, right? Have you ever been in a band where you've heard someone say, oh, that's not our style of music, we don't play that, we can't do a riff like that, it doesn't sound like us. Well, you sound like whatever you need to sound like, whatever sounds right. Sometimes it's the most unconventional riff that brings everything together. It's an unconventional idea. I mean, it's true. Listen to Between the Buried and Me, right? They go into something and they'll have like a little bluesy riff out of nowhere after going into blast beats. Could you imagine what would happen if they had a member that was like, oh, you know what? We're only tech death and we're not going to do anything besides just blast beats and you know, shredding and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. They wouldn't be who they are. True. It let them create the sound that is them. It's freedom of musical expression that has allowed their music to come to light. So please, back to that point, remember the ego. If you see it and you're in a band with somebody like that, man, you either call it out, because again, like we mentioned, you're bros. If you can't have an honest conversation with your bro and say, dude, you're being a little baby right now, you know, maybe that's not a member you should be with. You know, it's important because all ideas are valid and you never know what you're gonna get when you go forward and try it. You know, one of the greatest sayings that somebody told me, and I'm sure this is quoted by somebody somewhere, so I will butcher it. I was told that art is never done, it's just done for now. To Nolan's point that he mentioned earlier, right? You might write something and come back to it later, and it might be gold. But the one thing I do want to point out, this has always helped us in writing. We've written a lot of music together, lots. And what we've agreed to is if we're pounding a riff out and we're recording it and it's not going anywhere, be quick to move on. It doesn't mean you won't come back to it. It doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't mean it's not valuable. It means it's stifling the creative process and you've lost track of the muse. You have to go back to it, to that inspiration. You have to go to something that feels right. I remember just a funny little story when we were writing a song for an album that we put out in a previous band. We were crunching these riffs and I thought it was gold and we had all this good material and then it stopped and we were just throwing stuff at the wall, just hoping it would stick, right? Trying to make this one riff work. And then we stopped and we were just about to end our practice and then Nolan, who's playing guitar in this project, grabs it and does this simple 3-chord transition and all of a sudden it was like, stop, stop, stop. Record this part. And from there, a whole new song was born. Something so simple because we were quick to move on and we then reconnected with the muse who was kind enough to give us the grace of a new song. Just a quick piece of feedback for musicians out there. If you get stuck on something, be quick to put it aside. You're not forgetting it. It's not disappearing. You don't delete it. Just put it aside. And then come back to it later and then allow something else to grab you. Just as long as you're constantly moving forward. I mean, that's really something that helped us. It's helped me, and it's something that I hope helps you. One piece I want to start to talk about in this conversation is the camaraderie you have with your bandmates. There's nothing more gratifying than going to battle with your guys, with your dudes, right? You spend all this time in a jam room. You're putting together every nuance of a song. Hell, there might be songs that you've been working on for months, years, right? Some songs, they materialize in an instant, right? But that's not always the case. But you put in all this effort, all this time. Sometimes there's fights that go on when you're creating a song, arguments, right? We all know it's not all easy. We don't always agree. Yep. But that battle that you do behind the scenes and then to have that grand reward of when you go on stage and you and your bandmates are out there, there's nothing that beats it. It's like a friendship that It's a friendship you can't put a word to. It's a feeling. It's so much more that bond, right? To me, it's been one of the very gratifying pieces of being in a band, because you all have the same dream, that same passion, the same goal, and you're out there fighting it together. So I want to emphasize the importance of that, just to let you know, I mean, is it worth it? That piece to me is incredibly important. And some of the relationships that I've built, like with this guy here over the last decade and a half or so, or whatever it's been now, it's unbreakable because we've done this together. One thing I just want to point out is, you know, these are tips that we use. They're very helpful for us, and we can only hope that it really does help somebody else out there. You might think it's total garbage, but if it just helps one person, man, like that in itself will be incredibly beneficial. But if you have a tip that you think is beneficial, something you do when you're writing music, just leave it in the comments below and we'll respond back to it. Musicians are a community. We need to work together to help each other, because let's face it, man, there's not a lot of people out there that see music like we do. And I say we, I mean us, musicians, people watching this, people who are interested behind it. Support the community, provide your feedback. We really want to make sure that we're providing positivity out there to everybody who aspires to continue to pursue that dream and that passion.